On a highly anticipated episode of 60 Minutes, tensions rise to an explosive level as pop sensation Taylor Swift and NFL star Travis Kelce face off with the host in a revealing, no-holds-barred interview. What begins as a routine discussion of their professional lives quickly turns into a fiery confrontation, with emotions running high as both Swift and Kelce are pushed to reveal more than they intended. The chemistry between the two stars only adds fuel to the fire, leaving the host struggling to keep control of the conversation. Secrets, lies, and personal truths come to light, leaving audiences on the edge of their seats. After the 60-minute special aired, the public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Social media became a battleground, with fans on both sides passionately defending Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Finally, someone speaking the truth about privacy invasion. One fan tweeted, "They showed us that above all, they're human." On the flip side, some critics accused the interview of being nothing more than a publicity stunt. This was just another move to keep the spectacle going, a popular blogger wrote. The divide was clear, and the media's focus seemed to shift more toward the public's reaction rather than the substance of the interview itself. What had started as a simple conversation had now evolved into a national debate. While the frenzy continued to bubble in the media, Taylor and Travis attempted to return to their normal lives. But it wasn't easy. Every move they made seemed to be watched by hundreds of eyes. On the football field, Travis played with his usual intensity, but now his performance was scrutinized through the lens of their relationship. "He's just playing for the headlines," some critics said, dismissing his talent and passion for the game. Meanwhile, Taylor focused on her music, but it was hard to block out the constant commentary about her personal life. Her latest release was being dissected for hidden clues about her romance. One evening, while recording in Nashville, she received a text from Travis. "I feel like we're at war with the world, but together, we can win." The fallout from the interview began to weigh on both of them in different ways. For Taylor, the pressure was emotional. She had always been fiercely private about her personal life, and the sudden exposure left her feeling vulnerable. She had trusted a few people, but now it seemed like the world was watching every move she made. "Is there ever going to be peace?" she asked her best friend Abigail during a quiet night. "I think peace is something we're going to have to build together," Abigail said, trying to comfort her. "But what you have is something rare. You have someone who understands the pressure and still supports you. That's what matters most." For Travis, the pressure came on the professional front. With a major game coming up, he knew all eyes would be on him, watching to see if he could prove himself as more than just Taylor Swift's boyfriend. He was used to attention, but now every play, every interview felt like a judgment on his career. He spent sleepless nights practicing even harder, but he couldn't shake the feeling that his skills were being judged through the lens of his relationship. "I just want to play, and let the game speak for itself," he thought to himself. Watching clips of his recent game and the criticisms that followed. The weight of the situation finally led them to have an honest conversation. Taylor and Travis found themselves in a small countryside house, far from the rush of the city and media chaos. They sat across from each other, a simple table between them, and began to talk about everything that had been happening. "I didn't know it would be this hard," Taylor admitted, her smile tinged with sadness. "I thought I could handle it, but it feels like I'm in a constant battle, a war against everything." Travis looked at her with understanding. "I feel the same way, Tay, but that's why we need to be here for each other. I know everyone's talking about us, but I'm not just the guy you see on TV, and you're not just the pop star everyone knows. I see you, the incredible person you are, beyond all this." Taylor fell silent for a moment, touched by his words. Finally, she spoke with more confidence. "Then, let's face it together. We don't need to prove anything to anyone." After their conversation, they both made an important decision. They would continue to support each other, but in a more private way. They decided that instead of letting the media pressure consume them, they would take control of their lives and set clear boundaries for their public appearances. Taylor committed to focusing more on her music, pulling back from the limelight, while Travis promised to concentrate on his games, not letting the speculations about his personal life affect him. "We don't need to put on a show for the world," Travis said. "What matters is what we have, just the two of us." Taylor smiled, feeling a sense of relief. What matters is who we are, and nothing else. Although the media continued to speculate about them, the focus had shifted. Taylor and Travis were now more selective about the information they shared, deliberately keeping their private lives intact. At first, the public was obsessed with every new detail of their relationship, but as the weeks went by, the two stars became more reserved. This shift generated a new wave of respect for their privacy. The 60 Minutes interview became a defining moment, not just for their relationship, but for how they decided to handle the media. From that point forward, more people began to understand that, ultimately, they were just two humans trying to navigate life under an unforgiving microscope. And though the public eye would never completely fade, Taylor and Travis had learned how to navigate it together with more confidence and strength than ever before. As the weeks passed, Taylor and Travis began to adjust to their new normal. Though their lives were still under a microscope, they found comfort in their shared moments of solitude. Travis began to focus on his training with renewed vigor, determined to prove himself as more than just a tabloid subject. The pressure of being in the media's spotlight was heavy, but football was his refuge. Every touchdown and every successful play reminded him of why he loved the game in the first place. On Taylor's side, her music took center stage. With a new album in the works, she poured herself into her craft, drawing inspiration from the trials and tribulations of the past few months. Writing lyrics that felt raw and honest allowed her to channel her frustrations into something creative. Still, the media didn't give her a break. Rumors about her love life continued to swirl, but she learned to tune it out. If they want to talk about us, they'll talk, she thought to herself. But I can't control that. All I can do is keep creating. And while the public still watched, Taylor and Travis learned how to protect each other from the outside noise. They kept their private moments more sacred than ever, carving out time away from the world to just be themselves. Despite their best efforts to stay grounded, the relentless attention took its toll. One evening, after a particularly intense game, Travis received a message from Taylor that would change everything. The headline, Taylor Swift's breakup with Travis Kelce, imminent sources say. The article, rife with inaccuracies, painted a story of their supposed crumbling relationship, citing insiders who claimed they were on the verge of parting ways. Is this what it's come to? Travis muttered under his breath. Staring at the phone screen, he called Taylor immediately, his frustration evident. What's going on, Tay? Where's this coming from? On the other end, Taylor sighed, her voice cracking slightly. I don't know anymore, Travis. Every day, something new is written. Something worse. I don't know who's writing it, or who believes it, but it's starting to wear on me. There was a long pause as Travis processed her words. We can't let them win. We have to stick together. This is what they want, for us to break under the pressure. Taylor's voice softened. I'm trying, Travis, but it's hard. It feels like no matter what we do, they'll twist it into something it's not, and I can't breathe. I know, but we're in this together, he replied, his voice firm. Whatever it takes, we'll face it. The next day, after their conversation, the backlash from the article was intense. Fans rallied around Taylor and Travis, with many calling out the media for spreading false narratives. Why do they care so much about their personal lives? One fan tweeted. Let them just live. But others were quick to jump on the bandwagon of gossip, feeding off the chaos. Taylor, visibly shaken by the whole ordeal, took a break from social media. She logged off from everything, giving herself space to reflect on what mattered most. The constant cycle of public speculation was exhausting, and for the first time in a long time, she felt overwhelmed. Meanwhile, Travis faced his own set of challenges. His performance in the following game was scrutinized, not just by sports critics, but by the entire media world. Does he even care about football anymore? Some analysts speculated. Is his mind focused on his personal life instead of his game? But for Travis, the question was never whether he cared, it was about proving to himself that he could handle both. His passion for football and the personal struggles that came with being in the public eye. He reached out to his coach for advice, and their conversation offered him some clarity. You're not just playing for the fans or the headlines, Kelce. You're playing for yourself. Remember why you're here. Travis, too, was navigating his own pressures. With his stellar performance on the field, he had become the face of his team, an undeniable star in his own right. The media's focus on him intensified, especially with rumors of potential trades and endorsements swirling. Yet despite the success, he felt a void when Taylor wasn't around. Their time apart was becoming more than just an inconvenience. It was starting to create a strain on their relationship. One evening, after a long week of rehearsals, Taylor FaceTimed Travis for Keston, but the moment she saw his face, the distance seemed to fade. I miss you, she said softly, her voice filled with longing. I miss you too, Travis replied, though the weariness in his voice was palpable. It feels like I haven't seen you in forever. They shared a moment of silence, both understanding the weight of the words they hadn't said yet. Taylor finally broke the silence. We have to figure out how to make this work, Travis. The travel, the time apart is taking a toll on me. On us. Travis nodded, knowing exactly what she meant. We can't let this break us. Let's talk when you get back. Okay? We'll figure it out. Together. As Taylor's tour continued, the distance between her and Travis grew. Long stretches of time apart made the small, fleeting moments together even more precious. Yet the absence also sparked frustration in both of them. Taylor struggled with missing the person who had always been her emotional anchor, while Travis grappled with the pressure of maintaining his career while also supporting Taylor from afar. One night, after a performance in Paris, Taylor sat in her hotel room, her eyes scanning through her phone. The latest rumors about her relationship had hit the news again this time, suggesting that her romance with Travis was on the rocks. The tabloids were full of speculation, including stories about Travis spending time with other women and Taylor being too focused on her career. It was like the world was waiting for them to fall apart. Frustrated, Taylor called Travis again. The connection was better this time, but there was still a heaviness in the air. They just won't stop. Travis, she said, fighting back tears. It's like they want us to fail. And I'm so tired of it. Travis could hear the pain in her voice, and it cut him deep. I know, Tay, but we can't let this define us. Don't let the noise get to you. I'm here, and I'm in this with you. I know, I just, wish we didn't have to be so far apart all the time. I know, but we'll figure it out, one day at a time, he reassured her. After that conversation, Taylor took a step back. She began to realize that her career was important, but so was her relationship with Travis. In the past, she had always put her music first, but now, for the first time, she understood that her personal life needed to be just as prioritized. When she returned to the States, she sat down with Travis. The two of them, away from the media frenzy, were able to have an honest conversation about what they both needed. I can't keep doing this, Taylor admitted, her voice shaking. I can't keep putting everything into my career and losing myself in the process. I need balance. I need you, Travis. I need us. Travis reached across the table and took her hand, his grip strong. You're right. We need to figure out how to make this work. Together. I'll make more of an effort to be there when you need me, and I'll make sure we get time together. Just us, away from everything. It was a breakthrough moment. Both of them were realizing that success in their careers was important, but their relationship was what kept them grounded. They had been living in a whirlwind for so long, but now, they knew they had to slow down and focus on what truly mattered. The next few months were about finding that balance. Taylor adjusted to her schedule to spend more time in the off-season with Travis, and Travis made more efforts to attend her concerts when he could. They worked together, being intentional about how they spent their time, and making sure to check in with each other regularly. Their relationship was stronger than ever. The trials they had faced, both individually and together, had forged a bond that couldn't be broken by distance or media pressure. They knew how to support each other in ways that made sense, whether it was through quiet dinners, long walks, or the occasional FaceTime call in between their hectic schedules. And through all of this, Taylor's new album was a massive success, topping charts and connecting with her fans on a deeper level. The raw emotions in her songs reflected not just the struggles of fame, but the strength she had found in herself and in her relationship with Travis. Travis's career continued to thrive as well. He was praised for his leadership on and off the field, becoming a role model for younger players. Yet, the greatest accomplishment for him wasn't his accolades, it was knowing that he had someone by his side who loved and supported him unconditionally. By the end of the year, Taylor and Travis had reached a new understanding about what they wanted from life, both individually and as a couple. They knew that the media would always try to create a story, but they were no longer willing to let it dictate their narrative. They were writing their own story now, on their terms. One evening, after a quiet dinner together, Travis took Taylor's hand and looked at her with a seriousness that made her heart race. Tay, he said softly, we've been through so much together, ups and downs, the chaos of the world, and everything in between. But I'm more certain than ever that I want to be with you. I want this. I want us. Taylor smiled, tears welling up in her eyes. She had never felt more sure of anything in her life. I want that too, Travis. I have never been more sure of anything. We've built something real, and I want to keep building it. Their hands intertwined, and in that moment, the future seemed limitless. As Taylor and Travis stood together, looking forward to the future, they knew that their journey was far from over. The world would continue to watch, but they had learned the greatest lesson. No matter what the world said, they could face anything as long as they had each other. Taylor's decision to slow down and focus on her relationship with Travis wasn't just a choice, it was a shift in mindset. With her tour nearing its end, she felt a sense of relief. Not because the pressures of her career had dissipated, but because she had allowed herself to embrace what she needed the most. Connection. Travis, too, had found a new rhythm. The weight of the media's gaze was still there, but the stress of being constantly under scrutiny had lessened. With Taylor's emotional support and a renewed sense of purpose in his career, he felt more grounded than ever. Every time he stepped onto the field, it wasn't just for the fans or the accolades, it was for himself, for Taylor, and for the future they were building. One afternoon, as they both sat at Taylor's house in Nashville, surrounded by a sea of handwritten lyrics and football memorabilia, Travis leaned back in his chair, watching her write. You know, this whole slowing down thing. I never thought I'd see the day, he teased with a playful grin. Taylor looked up from her notepad, a smile tugging at her lips. Yeah, well, life has a funny way of showing you what you really need, doesn't it? I'm glad it showed you me, Travis said with a wink. But seriously, I see how hard you work. I see how much you give to everything, but I also see how much you give to us. I don't think I've ever felt more sure of anything than I do about us. Taylor set her pen down, her heart swelling. I'm glad you're here, Travis. You make everything feel easier. It wasn't just the success, the trophies, or the fame. It was moments like this, quiet, tender, and full of unspoken understanding that meant the most to them. Even as Taylor and Travis worked hard to find balance, they faced a reality that could never be fully escaped, the expectation of perfection. The world's eyes were always on them, and despite their attempts to guard their privacy, there were still moments where the public's expectations crept in. One evening, after a particularly stressful week, Taylor sat on the balcony of their shared home, staring out at the city skyline. The media had just released another speculative piece about her relationship, questioning whether their perfect love story could withstand the pressure of fame. The tone was familiar, suggesting they were too busy for each other, and that the cracks were beginning to show. Travis joined her outside, sensing her unease. Another headline. Huh? He asked, sitting down beside her. I'm so tired of it, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. It feels like no matter how much we do, it's never enough for them. Travis placed his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. We don't owe them anything. Our love doesn't have to look like what they want it to. It's real, Tay, and that's what matters. Taylor leaned into him, grateful for the security his words offered. I know, but it still hurts sometimes. The weight of it all. You don't have to carry it alone, he said gently. We'll carry it together. That evening, they made a vow to each other to keep focusing on the parts of their lives that brought them peace, and to leave the noise behind. As they moved forward, Taylor and Travis began to consider what they wanted for the next stage of their lives. With their careers at a pinnacle, they found themselves thinking about the future in a new light, not as individuals on separate paths, but as partners working towards something bigger. During a visit to Taylor's family in Nashville, they spent time together, away from the prying eyes of the media. One afternoon, Taylor's mom pulled her aside. So, when are we going to start planning that wedding? She teased, nudging her daughter with a knowing smile. Taylor blushed but smiled. Mom, slow down. We've got a lot on our plate right now. But deep down, Taylor knew her mom was right. The thought of a future with Travis long-term, forever, had started to feel more tangible. They had faced the worst together and come out stronger. Maybe it was time to take the next step, in both their personal lives and in their careers. Later that evening, as they sat outside on the porch, watching the sun set over the hills, Taylor turned to Travis. What if we took a real break? No. From everything, just you and me. Travis raised an eyebrow. Are you saying you want us to disappear for a while? Maybe not disappear, but yes. Get away. Have some time to just be. Taylor's voice was soft, full of hope. No cameras, no obligations, just us. I'm all in, he said with a smile. Let's make it happen. With the decision made, Taylor and Travis took a few weeks off. No concerts, no games, no public appearances. They went to secluded locations, explored quiet towns, and spent time reconnecting in ways they hadn't been able to for months. These were the moments that felt most real, just to people in love, without the weight of the world on their shoulders. But as they returned to their public lives, they knew that the storm of attention would always be just around the corner. They had made it through so much already: rumors, pressures, distance, and they were stronger for it. But the question remained, could they keep the peace they'd found? One morning, as they prepared for a major interview that would be broadcast worldwide, Taylor and Travis sat down together in their home, preparing themselves for the questions that were sure to come. They were in this together, and no matter what was said, they had learned how to navigate it. It's just another day, Travis said, looking at Taylor. Another day where we get to decide how we want to be seen. Taylor smiled, taking his hand. Exactly. And today, I'm choosing us. Always. The interview went as expected: questions about their careers, their relationship, and their future. But Taylor and Travis handled it with a grace that only came from knowing their truth. They spoke openly about the pressures of being in the public eye, but also about how they had learned to focus on what mattered: each other. As the interview ended, the camera zoomed in on them. Travis, ever the football star, was asked one final question. So, Travis, what's next for you? With a calm smile, he responded, Next. I think it's about the legacy we create, not just on the field, but in life. And right now, I'm building that with someone I truly believe in. Taylor, we've got a lot to give, and I'm excited for the future. Taylor turned to him, her eyes glistening with pride. Me too, she said softly. We're just getting started. The following months brought new opportunities, both professionally and personally. Travis continued to thrive in football, with his name becoming synonymous with dedication and excellence. Taylor's music continued to break records, and her connection with fans grew stronger with every tour stop. But for them both, the real victory was in the quiet moments where they were simply themselves. Not the celebrities the world had come to know, but the people who had come together and built a life of love and trust. And as they looked toward the future, one thing was certain: no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Just when Taylor and Travis thought they had found a rhythm, the first real test of their relationship came. It wasn't the media, nor the distance, but something more personal: a choice they had to make, one that would change the trajectory of their future together. Travis had been offered a lucrative endorsement deal, one that could cement his place as a household name, not just in sports, but in the business world. But the deal came with strings attached. The schedule was grueling, the public appearances relentless, and it required him to be away from Taylor for long stretches at a time. Sitting across from him at their kitchen table one evening, Taylor could see the excitement in his eyes, but also the uncertainty. It's a big opportunity, isn't it? She asked gently. It is, Travis replied, leaning back in his chair. It's a dream deal, something that could set us up for years. But it would mean more time apart from you. And I don't know if I'm ready for that again. Taylor paused, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. It was a hard decision, one that neither of them had anticipated. As much as she supported his dreams, she couldn't ignore the toll the distance had already taken on their relationship. You deserve this, Travis, she said quietly. But we also deserve to be together. And I'm scared that if we keep pulling away from each other, we'll lose what we've worked so hard to build. Travis reached across the table, taking her hand in his. I don't want to lose us, Tay. I've already lost so much in my life, but I need you to be a part of this. If I take it, I need you with me. The decision wasn't easy, but it was the beginning of something new for both of them. They realized that it wasn't about the external pressures, it was about aligning their goals and dreams in a way that kept their connection intact. After long discussions, heartfelt moments, and considering every angle, Taylor and Travis found a middle ground. Travis would take the endorsement deal, but they'd carve out time to be together, away from cameras, away from the public eye. They would prioritize their relationship, making sure that no matter how busy their lives became, they stayed rooted in what mattered. Taylor had her own challenges. With her album release approaching, she was under pressure to create something that would surpass even her past successes. But as she worked, she realized that she no longer had to sacrifice her personal life for her career. It was possible to have both success and love. One evening, Travis surprised her by showing up at one of her recording sessions. Thought I'd drop by, he said, his smile wide. I know it's crazy, but I need to remind you that you're not doing this alone. Taylor's heart warmed. You're here. That's all I need. As they shared a quiet moment in the studio, she realized just how much they had grown. What once seemed like an impossible balance had become a shared effort, each of them supporting the other in ways that felt natural. Just as everything seemed to be falling into place, the unexpected happened. Travis, during an off-season charity event, injured his knee. It wasn't a severe injury, but it was enough to put him on the sidelines for a few weeks. The timing couldn't have been worse. Taylor was about to embark on a major tour, and the last thing Travis wanted was to be a distraction. But for the first time, he found himself needing to lean on Taylor not for support with the media, but for emotional strength. He wasn't just worried about his physical recovery. The uncertainty of his future in football loomed over him like a dark cloud. One night, while they sat on their couch, Travis stared down at his knee, his expression heavy with worry. I don't know, Tay. What if I can't play again? What if everything changes? Taylor moved closer, placing her hand on his. You don't have to have all the answers right now. I believe in you. We'll face whatever comes next together. Her words, so simple and pure, seemed to ease the weight he had been carrying. It wasn't about solving the problem immediately. It was about knowing that, whatever the outcome, they would do it side by side. As Travis healed and Taylor prepared for her next stage of her tour, they both learned the value of vulnerability. They realized that letting each other truly in was what strengthened their relationship. It wasn't about being strong all the time. It was about being honest about their fears, their hopes, and their doubts. One afternoon, after Travis's first physical therapy session, Taylor took him out for a quiet walk. They talked about everything: his recovery, her album, their plans for the future. But there was an openness between them now that hadn't been there before. I've never felt more like myself than I do when I'm with you, Travis admitted, his voice low but steady. I think I've spent so much time trying to prove something to the world that I forgot what truly matters. You remind me of that. Taylor smiled softly, squeezing his hand. I don't want to be the person who fixes everything. I just want to be here, with you, through it all. And for the first time, Travis truly understood. Love wasn't about perfection, it was about showing up, day after day, through every challenge, big or small. As the months passed, Taylor and Travis found themselves in a new phase of their relationship. They had navigated the pressures of their careers, the struggles of distance, and the fear of the unknown. But now, they were focusing on the foundation they had built together. Travis returned to the field stronger than ever. And Taylor's album had not only been a commercial success, but it had resonated with fans on a deeper level. Their individual triumphs were significant, but what mattered more was how they had evolved as partners. One evening, sitting by a fire on their porch, Travis turned to Taylor, a gentle smile on his face. I used to think success was about winning, but I've realized it's about the people you have beside you, and I'm so damn lucky to have you. Taylor leaned in, resting her head on his shoulder. I'm lucky to have you too. Together, we've built something real.